Triangle. Brought to you by JD Service Now.
JD Service Now. We do it right the first time.
What if you could whiten your teeth by simply brushing your teeth? Now you can with Smile Actives, the teeth
half. We'll talk more about the timing and what you could see where you are.
All hands on deck. DOT crews are ramping up efforts to keep the roads clear.
And trimming trees. How ice could lead to power outages and falling debris, too.
Freezing rain and bone-chilling temperatures are headed our way. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
I'm Chris Levingood. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. WRAL is your trusted source for the most accurate forecast.
We have live team coverage over the next hour. Carly Haynes has an update on efforts by DOT crews. And Sean Gallagher explains why crews are cutting back trees.
But we do want to go ahead and start with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner and the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at what's due at noon.
Yeah, we have our precipitation type map up here, and you can see sleet and freezing rain likely from the Triangle area northward, and then from Raleigh southward we're looking at the potential for maybe a little bit of sleet, but mostly freezing rain. The difference is freezing rain is that raindrop that falls into an area where temperatures are below freezing, and it creates that icy glaze, and it builds up on trees and power lines and causes power outages. It's possible that we would have areas from the Triangle area northward beginning as some snow. I'm going to show you what our snow potential is coming up in just a little bit. That's crept up some this morning as we've seen our new runs of the computer models, but it's not enough to cause any real difference in our forecast. Right now, we're looking at a little bit of light patchy rain. That moves right on out of here over the next hour to 2 hours, and then our skies will clear. We get a big push of cold air coming in. Our lows tonight will be in the low 20s, and we'll be in the mid to upper 20s during the day Saturday. It's going to be very, very cold. Once we get into the late afternoon and evening, we begin to see the precipitation beginning. Some of that, this model shows the snow all up to the north, but some of them are starting to trend, bringing that snow in just for a short period of time as far south as the Triangle. And then it changes over to freezing rain, and we have a long period of time where we'll see freezing rain. That means the ice will continue to build up and build up and build up until we have power outages. Into the day Sunday, we may end up with some warming as that air comes in off the coast, a little break on Sunday evening, and then we could have another round late Sunday night into early Monday when the front itself comes through. After that, we're into some very cold temperatures to start the week. So how much ice are we talking about? The farther east you go, the less it is. Around Clinton, it may be that we don't have any real issues. But once you get toward Fayetteville, Goldsboro, Wilson, Rocky Mount, we could see anywhere from a quarter to a half an inch. So we could have some scattered outages. And then the red shaded area, anywhere from a half to an inch. That's where things are going to be much more widespread. So what are we talking about with these numbers? A tenth of an inch of freezing rain means you may see it on your windshield. Bridges will get slick, some light icing on trees. A quarter of an inch of freezing rain is where things get tricky. We start to see some power outages, the trees begin to break, and then a half an inch or more is a major ice storm with travel becoming nearly impossible and widespread outages. So our chances of that are high from the Triangle area northward and medium in our southeastern counties. So this is a look at that probability of an inch of snow, and it's started to go up a little bit. We're going to talk more about what that means for you where you are coming up.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. We'll come back to you in just a bit. The Department of Transportation has more than 330 trucks and equipment ready to go in our area this weekend. The roads have been prepped, and now DOT is waiting for what's to come. Let's bring in WRAL's Carly Haynes. She's live at the Wake County Maintenance Yard. Carly, they outlined this approach this morning and talked about it a little bit during that press briefing moments ago.
Yes, we spoke with the division maintenance engineer here. This is where they're keeping just some of those hundreds of vehicles that they are expecting to use this weekend. And they said they're really approaching this with 3 phases. So the first one was that preparation, that brining, which they have pretty much wrapped up at this point, putting down 300,000 gallons of brine across our area on the roads. Now, once that precipitation starts falling, they're going to move into lane management. That's things like pushing trees out of the roads so that emergency services can get by. And they do expect a lot of falling trees because of that heavy ice that Elizabeth Gardner was just talking about. But once the precipitation stops, they're going to work on actually clearing the trees and salting the roads.
Looking at a longer duration of precipitation than we normally see. Usually we're 12 to 18-hour events. This one could go from Saturday afternoon, early evening into Monday. And then after that, it's going to get very cold, which will further complicate efforts.
And the reason why it could complicate efforts is because if temperatures are in single digits, it could prevent the salt from doing its job. It takes moisture for salt to activate the melting process. So for that reason, DOT also started using calcium chloride in this area, which can further lower the freezing point. And they don't typically do that. And they said they're going to be operating those vehicles more so during the daytime when those temperatures are just a little bit higher than they would be at night. But you're going to be seeing trucks all around this area over the weekend. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
The potential for power outages is high with this coming ice storm. Just a half inch of ice can weigh down power lines. 3/4 of an inch can lead to more widespread outages. Utility companies say power outages during these low temperatures could be dangerous. If you see downed power lines, make sure you stay as far away as possible. That's because you can't tell if they are live. Utility companies we spoke with say it is all hands on deck in preparation for this storm.
We're staging our crews. We have additional crews coming from the outside, but with the storm being so widespread across many states, most people are holding on to as many resources as possible. So we're on waiting list for additional resources on top of the ones that we already have coming in.
And please stay home. More drivers on the road put utility crews at risk while they are repairing the power grid.
I'm Destiny Patterson here in the WRAL Live Center. Just in the last few minutes, we heard from Governor Josh Stein as well as other state officials about how they're preparing for this winter storm. Here are some of the top things that they discussed. 2.8 million gallons of brine have already been put down on all of the roads in our area. They also say that the National Guard has been activated, more than 400 National Guardsmen and women ready to respond. They also say that there are 18,000 workers to help restore power from across the country. And another important thing here is being able to call for help if you need it. Take a listen to what they had to say about that.
If a local 911 center in a jurisdiction is impacted, there is a failover plan for an unimpacted area to be able to continue to receive 911 calls.
Now, it's really important that if you do call 911, that it's only in the event of emergencies. Of course, we'll keep you updated here on WRAL in our newscast and online.
Teams around Raleigh are putting their final preparations in place ahead of the storm. WRAL's Sean Gallagher joins us now from there. And Sean, talk a little bit about first responders. I mean, they have a hand in this as well, getting prepared.
Yeah, Chris, that's right. In the last hour, I spoke with a number of emergency response people with the city of Raleigh. They all are echoing the same message that they're preparing for the worst, hoping for the best. And part of that preparation includes one of the points of pride here in the city of Oaks. All of the trees that just make neighborhoods look so beautiful are really going to be a danger over the course of the next few days once they're caked in ice. All of that ice will put a strain on these trees. The ice encases the branches and trunks, so a gust of wind won't knock it off like it could with snow. And all of that ice would weigh heavy on branches, especially the ones that are already in rough shape.
So any of these sort of large-scale weather events tend to accelerate nature, I guess I would say, in a lot of points. So trees that aren't doing well, have weaker attachments, are more likely to fail in these sort of scenarios.
Now, Zach Manner with the City of Raleigh's Urban Forestry Program says they will have increased staffing over the weekend and are staging equipment to help remove fallen trees as quickly as possible, especially those routes that could interrupt emergency services. Now, back out here live, you might have concerns about the trees around your own house. Like in this neighborhood in Raleigh, a lot of hanging branches over here. Zach tells me it's a little too late to start pruning trees around your area because you can't tell what branches are dead or not. So he says the best strategy is to make sure you don't have anything that you care about under these branches, like this whole row of cars that are here. It's best to move these before the storm arrives. In Raleigh, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
Meanwhile, the city of Durham is preparing for the effects of this winter storm and warning people about conditions they haven't seen in decades there.
I do caution our community members, especially those that were not here in the early 2000s and experienced that last winter weather event. Take our caution seriously. Be prepared for this storm.
And here's a look at some of the plans the city has put into place. The city plans to deploy extra police officers and firefighters this weekend. And calls of service, these are the ones that are going to be prioritized. The city also says that its 911 center will be fully staffed, and officials are urging people to only call 911 if it is an emergency. Local teams are also brining and pre-treating the roads as well.
Here in the WRAL Live Center, we are tracking the Buddhist monks as they make their way closer to Raleigh. Take a look at this video. This is video from Sky 5 of those monks as they were walking along US 64. Now, an important thing to note here is obviously we're gearing up for this winter weather. The monks are going to be continuing their journey through this winter weather. We're told that they're going to have extra support. They already have plans in place if it gets to be too bad. Of course, we're going to continue to stay on top of their journey, and we will keep you updated.
Destiny, thank you. We are also expecting flight cancellations throughout the weekend because of the ice storm. RDU has been working on the winter storm protocol since September. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey reports from RDU, where the goal is to have at least one runway clear for takeoff and landing at all times.
Crews at RDU have been preparing their winter weather protocol for months.
We practice our turnarounds, we practice our formations, we practice all that just to make sure the equipment is operating right.
Now it's time to execute. The director of field maintenance at RDU, Mark Wood, says their goal is to have at least one runway clear for takeoff and landing at all times. RDU has 60 tons of solid de-icer to help with that effort.
It's the same principle as the brine, but we use a different chemical. It has a lower freeze point and is a whole lot less corrosive than what's used on the roadways.
Wood explains how ice can be even more difficult to clean up than snow.
It's a lot harder with ice just because the equipment is going to kind of slip a little bit when we have ice. So your strategy just has to change. So now we will make sure that we do our pre-treat application and treat it a little bit heavier and rely a lot heavier on our liquid and solid de-icer materials.
RDU recommends passengers monitor their airline's app before arriving to the airport to check for any cancellations or delays, just in case icy conditions disrupt takeoff. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News.
WRAL has the most experienced, largest severe weather team in North Carolina. Stay with WRAL for live team coverage of weather and road conditions now and throughout the weekend and into next week.
We will be tracking this storm across all our platforms on TV, WRAL News Plus, and on the newly redesigned WRAL Weather app. But be sure to turn your alerts on. That way you get important updates right to your phone. Next at noon, guilty or not guilty, a jury has its second day of deliberations in the murder trial of Isaiah Ross. We'll recap the facts they're going over before making a decision.
Ice-covered Chicago cars. What led to this happening when the city was already dealing with extremely cold temperatures?
And preventing frostbite, what you can do to prevent it during the incoming ice storm.
Coming up next, see storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
The jury is beginning its second day of deliberations in the murder trial of Isaiah Ross in Orange County. The jury only deliberated for about an hour yesterday before breaking for the evening. Ross is charged with killing 14-year-old Lyric Woods and 18-year-old Devin Clark in 2022. This morning, jurors asked to see surveillance video of Ross that night at a gas station, crime scene photos, and the body cam video interview of the key witness who says Ross confessed to killing both teens. Ross testified that he shot Clark in self-defense after Clark shot and killed Lyric Woods. Cary police need your help finding the people who vandalized a Hindu temple. Police shared these images of the damage at Sri Venakareswara Temple. Investigators say this happened early Sunday morning, and surveillance video shows 5 people leaving the area in a small sedan. Anyone with information about this is asked to contact Cary Crime Stoppers.
Here in the WRAL Live Center, we are tracking school closures starting on Monday. We'll start with Nash County Public Schools. Classes are canceled Monday, as well as activities after school. Taking a look at NC State, they also have canceled classes on Monday, and any events after 2 p.m. on Saturday will also be canceled. We mentioned a couple of other schools that have changed their schedules as well, including North Carolina Central University. Of course, we'll keep you updated, and you can find the latest information on these closures on our website at WRAL.com.
Try to keep that list updated. Thanks, Destiny. The weekend ice storm could bring lasting power and travel impacts, and the lingering cold after the precipitation ends plays a big part in that. Meteorologist Grant Skinner breaks down how long we could see that ice last into early next week, plus when we could see dangerously cold temperatures.
It'll be very cold into the first half of next week. After the wintry precipitation, lows in the low 20s already this weekend. And then by early next week, we drop into the teens and possibly the single digits into Tuesday morning. So we could see some ongoing icy issues. The good news is by the afternoon on Monday, highs could reach the mid 30s, maybe some upper 30s to the south. That would help to melt some of that ice. But any precipitation left over on the grounds, any moisture left over would refreeze into Tuesday morning. Again, lows drop to the single digits and the teens into Monday morning. And then you factor in the wind chill could be dangerously cold in the single digits, possibly dropping below zero as we head into Tuesday morning. So it's going to be really, really important, especially if we have power outages throughout our area, to practice that cold weather safety. Make sure you have a safe heating source if you don't already have one. Today is the day to prepare. Make sure to protect your people as well. Wear multiple layers, check on your family and friends, and make sure to protect your pipes and those pets as well. If you have any outdoor pets, make sure to bring them inside and leave them inside throughout the duration of the event. With the wintry precip this weekend and the cold weather next week, everyone needs to be prepared.
To bring your pets inside. That's so important. So check this out. This is what some people in Chicago are dealing with during their own cold weather. Cars there have become encased in 6 to 8 inches of ice, and that happened after a water main broke on the city's north side. The Chicago area will be under an extreme cold warning today with a high of -2 degrees. Ugh, don't like that.
Well, we are going to be dealing with some extremely cold temperatures throughout the weekend and into early next week. But as we get closer to the storm arriving, our winter alert map is changing color. Elizabeth, now we have some counties under a winter storm warning.
We do. And to our west is an ice storm warning. And it's easily looking like we'll have some cars encased in ice as well. As a matter of fact, probably any cars that don't go in a garage like mine. I don't have a garage, so it's going to be quite a thing to get all that ice off of it. And remember, it will be on the roads as well. So winter storm warning, that's going to be Roxborough and also Chapel Hill and Hillsborough, so Orange County and Pershing County under the winter storm warning. And that is for the potential for some accumulating sleet and snow and then ice on top of it. And of course, mostly just ice here where the ice storm warning is. And most likely these will translate eastward as we get into the afternoon. The National Weather Service puts out all of these alerts and advisories and about 24 hours out. And so because most of our viewing area won't see this until late afternoon or evening, they'll probably wait a few more hours to put that out for us. But we can expect that watch to be upgraded as well. And as soon as it is, we'll let you know. High risk for power outages. This is going to be a major winter storm for us beginning Saturday evening through Sunday night, maybe even into the wee hours on Monday. Treacherous driving, power outages, just going to be a really messy situation. Let's start with the big picture. We're beginning to see our low pressure system taking shape right now. It looks like it's mostly rain, but some of that moisture is starting to sort of come together. You can see some snow up around the Rockies, some of that rain starting to push into Texas just over the last few hours. So this is the system. And honestly, almost half of the population of the United States is going to be affected by this winter storm. It is not just us, but it will take a little time to get here. And in the meantime, we do have just a little bit of light rain, not really related to the system coming our way. And our temperatures are too warm to see much from that. Okay, so by 6 o'clock, you can see the blue snow there. You can see the pink shaded area. That's going to be either freezing rain or sleet. The pink doesn't differentiate between the two. And then we have green, which is going to be the rain. We move ahead to first thing tomorrow morning. We are dry. You will have a window of opportunity tomorrow morning.
Here in the Live Center, Sky 5 is flying over a crash in Clinton. This is Turkey Highway. I mean, if you take a look here, right in the center of your screen, you can see a car that just looks twisted and mangled. You can't even see the front of this vehicle anymore. It's not immediately clear what other vehicle was involved in this crash. We're still working to get more details about all of this. We have put in a call to State Highway Patrol. As soon as we learn more information, we will let you know right here on air.
Winter weather can change fast, and when it does, even a short drive can turn into trouble. 5 Under Side's Kelly Arthur shares how being prepared in your car can keep a bad situation from getting worse.
All right, whether you're a minimalist and you have nothing or you're a doomsday prepper and you have everything, listen to this. This is for everybody. These are 5 things that you should keep in your car right now. Head outside and just throw them in. So first thing, a first aid kit. It's something that you rarely are going to need, but when you need it, you really need it. Same goes for a portable phone charger. It's nice to have on hand if your phone is running low or if your car needs to preserve power. This is an easy one, but a very necessary one. Non-perishable food items. Fruit pouches are great. Same with these tuna snacks if you're more of a salty tooth. Water, self-explanatory, buy a small case, keep it in your trunk. And finally, especially heating this type of weather, keep a blanket in your car. This one is bulky and it's going to keep you nice and warm, but if you want to save some space, you can get one of those thin emergency preparedness ones, fold it up, keep it in your glove compartment. All right, I'm Keely Arthur, 5 on your side. I'm off to my next story. I'll see you later.
All right, back into our weather coverage. We're going to talk about clearing the roads, how teams are making sure the salt brine mixture lasts through this weekend's winter storm. And walking for peace. The monks have a ride in Wake County, where people are gathering for this leg of their journey. Well, major cities in the Northeast could get their largest snowfall in at least 4 years.
But for us, it's not snow, it's about the ice. We can expect widespread power outages and difficult travel. Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at what's new this half hour.
So there has been a winter storm watch in effect for the almost entire state. And just a few minutes ago or so, we ended up with them going ahead and moving it to a winter storm warning and an ice storm warning for parts of the western part of North Carolina. That did include, however, Person County and Orange County in the winter storm warning. Most likely, we'll see that translate eastward. Part of our viewing area may go under a winter storm warning or an ice storm warning, too, by the time we get to this afternoon, because these advisories are usually about 24 hours out, and we'll likely see it developing in about 24 hours once we get into the afternoon and evening. It is likely to be a major ice storm for a good chunk of the state, moderate ice storm for our eastern counties, enough for there to be plenty of power outages. But that chance definitely goes up from the triangle area northward and westward. The reason that it may be a lesser chance in our eastern counties is because we may have some rain that starts to work in by the time we get into Sunday afternoon. That may limit the amount of ice that we see there only slightly. So again, we are looking at a high impact storm. We're going to have enough ice to have power outages and some hazardous travel as well. So this is a look at the timing of that system. Expect that to roll in Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening. The northern part of the viewing area, including the triangle, could see this beginning as some snow and some sleet and then transitioning into ice. But the timeline that we'll see ice will be hours and hours. So it'll have plenty of time to grow on the trees and the power lines and get heavy enough to cause widespread power outages. Once the precipitation moves out on Monday, we have bitter cold that moves in. We could see temperatures dropping to around 10 by Tuesday morning with a wind chill in the negative digits. We're going to talk more about that in just a bit.
Here in the WRAL Live Center, we are following breaking news out of Clinton. Take a look at this video from Sky 5. You can see this car that's right in the middle of the road there. The front of it just looks mangled. Parts of the car are kind of dispersed across the road there. It looks like it collided with this 16-wheeler truck. We're continuing to reach out to officials to get more information on this, including State Highway Patrol, to figure out exactly how this happened and if anybody was hurt. To kind of give you some perspective here, this happened just outside of Clinton City Center. So again, we are asking questions to get more information. As soon as we do, we will let you know.
Destiny, thank you. It is a familiar warning we've shared all week. Stay off the roads, if at all possible, during the storm. If you do have to drive, DOT crews are working hard to make sure that you reach your destination safely. WRAL's Ali Calabar is in Raleigh, where brine is already down on most major roads.
And NCDOT crews already had to retreat parts of I-40 yesterday because of rain. And now they're checking to make sure if they need to rebrine any roads after this morning's showers. NCDOT says the rain won't strip a road of all the treatment. It's still effective. It's just not as effective. We've seen crews treat 6,000 miles of road over the last 2 days. If there's heavy rain today, they're going to make a decision on where to rebrine. Once the storm comes in, they do plan to use salt treatment, but even though they are prepping the roads, NCDOT says stay home if you can.
We want to emphasize the importance of being home or in a safe space before the rain, freezing rain even begins, because once it's on the road, driving it will be nearly impossible and very, very dangerous.
And once crews are able to make it out on the roads to treat them during the winter storm, they say that they're going to have contractors on standby to cut trees and remove them from the roads. That's why they're emphasizing to stay off the roads, stay inside so that they can do their jobs safely and as quickly as possible. Reporting in Raleigh, Ali Kadlabar, WRAL News.
Durham City workers are already working very hard to get ready for the storm. They have huge stockpiles of sand and salt, and more ordered as well as on the way. They're out brining the roads right now. And Environmental and Street Services Director Marvin Williams says that they will have at least 25 trucks out throughout the weekend, getting to as many areas as they can.
It's really an event where we're advising people to stay off the roads as much as possible this weekend. If you don't have to travel, do not. It's not going to be safe.
They're also focusing on pre-treating fire departments and police station areas to ensure first responders can get to the emergencies.
The Buddhist monks are in Apex right now. They're currently making a stop at Jordan Lake for lunch. This is a live look right now. As you can see, one of the monks speaking to the crowd. There are hundreds of people there to listen to the monks. The monks walked along US 64 this morning. They will continue their journey and stay at Apex High School overnight. Tomorrow, they will make their way to Raleigh, stopping in the afternoon at the Capitol building downtown. Now, we asked the city of Raleigh how they are preparing for the monks' arrival, especially with the potential for deteriorating weather in the forecast.
If you're trying to come to Raleigh to see the monks, that if you can't get home safely, if you're seeing, especially with the weather coming in kind of aligned with when they're going to be at the Capitol, if you can't come home safely, we'd really appreciate if you'd try to watch them on their live stream from home.
WRAL's Heidi Kirk has been following along with the monks this week and is part of that crowd. You can look for her live reports at 4 and 5:45 tonight.
This is a good reminder for you to download the new WRAL weather app and plan ahead for severe weather anytime. Just make sure you turn on notifications, and that way you can get alerts whether you're in about severe weather in your location. It's free to download.
AAA gets ready. How the company you call when you have car trouble is preparing for a surge in calls for service during this winter storm.
And new ban at Reagan Washington Airport. Why no more helicopters will be allowed to fly in and out in the area of the D.C. airport starting today. Three 18-year-olds and someone under the age of 18 face murder and robbery charges, and this is because of a Facebook marketplace deal turned violent. Police say that Michael Burke was gunned down in Columbia, Missouri, in what officers are calling an online sale turned robbery. The Marine veteran was gunned down near his home after listing his phone for sale. Officers say that after the shooting, Burke called 911 and then placed a final phone call to his family.
Unfortunately, they didn't pick up, and so they decided to text them. And he just said, "I am dying and I love you."
Police say the suspects carried out at least 2 iPhone robberies in the days before Burke's killing, targeting sellers they met through Facebook Marketplace.
Accused killer Luigi Mangione is expected in court today. A police official from Altoona, Pennsylvania will testify. That's where Mangione was arrested following a massive manhunt. At issue is whether his backpack was seized and searched lawfully. Mangione was wanted for allegedly fatally shooting United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson back in December of 2024. He wants the court to exclude the murder weapon and writings seized from his backpack as evidence. Mangione could get the death penalty if convicted. Starting today, helicopter flights are permanently banned near Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport in Virginia. The announcement comes nearly a year after that deadly midair crash near the airport. On January 29th of last year, 67 people were killed in that collision of a passenger jet and a Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac River. Last month, the U.S. government admitted to failures by the pilots of the Black Hawk helicopter and an air controller at the airport.
All hands on deck. AAA is stocking their fleet ahead of severe winter weather. How you can prepare your vehicle ahead of the storm.
Hometown support. A hockey phenom prepares to make history at the Winter Olympics, and her family will be there to witness it thanks to the generosity from a pair of humble guys from Ohio. Dry skies now, but that will change about 18 hours from now. You're looking live at Pittsburgh, watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
Well, AAA is getting their fleet ready for the weekend as that storm approaches, and the agency expects a 150% increase in calls over the next few days. But there are things that you can do ahead of time. The checklist includes making sure that your tires have enough air, filling your tank with gas, and restocking your emergency kit with things such as jumper cables, a first aid kit, and batteries batteries for a flashlight, and of course, the flashlight itself. AAA says that it's all hands on deck.
Our busiest time is when the snow stops. Because most people, if it snows, just say it's going to get 6 inches, you stay home, we're slow. It's once the snow stops, that's when everybody goes to start the car. It won't start.
You know, it's also a good idea to have extra windshield wiper fluid and a shovel and something kind of like kitty litter or sand to create traction behind your wheels if you get stuck.
And that way your tires have a little bit of grip. More than 170 million Americans are bracing for a potentially catastrophic winter storm that stretches 2,000 miles from New Mexico and New England. At least a dozen states are declaring states of emergency ahead of this menacing forecast. NBC's Ryan Chandler reports from Dallas.
Well, we're entering the final hours of preparation before this monster winter storm takes hold, impacting about half of all Americans from New Mexico to New England. Here in Dallas, we're already seeing the weather take a turn for the worst. It's not freezing yet, but you can really see the makings of what kind of event this is going to be. The roads are a little slick already, not from ice, but from this fine layer of mist that's going to freeze overnight. We're expecting up to ½ an inch of ice accumulation, which may not sound like much, but it poses real hazards, and it's a similar story all across the South. Right now, at least a dozen states have declared states of emergency, governors all with one message. The best way to ride out this storm is at home. The two greatest dangers that almost everybody in this storm's path will face are, one, on the roads. They're going to be slick and life-threatening, and two, even at home, power outages are a real issue. It's the biggest concern that we hear here in Texas, but all of the local outages that are likely are going to come from that ice accumulation. Look, this is a serious storm, but it's a simple way to stay safe. First responders we've spoken to say, stay home until the ice thaws. In Dallas, I'm Ryan Chandler. Back to you.
I mean, we even heard our state leaders here say, if you don't got to leave your home, don't do it.
Yeah, stay off the road, stay home, and stay informed. And that's why we bring in meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner with what we need to know about what will start happening tomorrow.
Yes, just a little while. Of course, the National Weather Service upgraded the winter storm watch to a winter storm warning and an ice storm warning. And we'll likely see that spread eastward. I feel like part of our viewing area will probably go under an ice storm warning and the other part a winter storm warning. The major difference is this is where it's mainly going to be ice, very little snow or sleet mixing in, and the winter storm warning, which includes Person County and Orange County right now and may spread eastward. That's where we'll have the chance at least of a little bit of snow and sleet as it begins. The final answer is everybody's going to have enough of that freezing rain to see power outages. So those are just subtle differences between those two different advisories. So it begins late on Saturday. And again, from Raleigh northward, we might end up seeing some snow and some sleet to begin with, but all Sunday night or all day Sunday and into Monday, it's likely to be ice for us. Of course, that means dangerous roads for us and that potential for power outages. This is where the breakout may be. This is where we might see some sleet and snow to start with, and then southern counties are really going to all see rain, freezing rain, at least for a bit until we see it warming up late Sunday. This may start to change over to some rain. Let's go over Futurecast. Right now, we're seeing a little bit of light patchy rain across the area. That moves on out of here by around 2 or 3 o'clock, and then will remain fairly cloudy. We may clear briefly, but during the day Saturday, we'll see the clouds moving back in. Our temperature overnight tonight drops way down to 22, and we'll stay in the 20s all day Saturday. It will still give you a window. If you don't have time today to get your preps done, you'll have a small chance again on Saturday before the wintry precipitation moves in. If you don't know how to prep for an ice storm, and a lot of us may not, some of us haven't lived through an ice storm, go to WRAL.com and go to our weather section, and we're going to be updating that, just constantly. There is a good list of what you can do and how you can stay safe during an ice storm. We're going to see the precipitation rolling in on Saturday evening. Again, we may see some sleet and snow to begin with, but most of this is going to be freezing rain until we get into the day on Sunday, and then we might see it easing up to rain in some of our southeastern counties. This version of Futurecast shows a little break during the evening on Sunday, and then with the front overnight Sunday night into Monday, we have the potential for some more precipitation. After that, we're going to clear up. We're going to see a lot of sunshine on Sunday and Monday, but some bitterly cold temperatures. Let's talk about some of the numbers. Less than an inch and a half a half an inch or less in some of our eastern counties, but a half an inch or more from the Triangle area north and west. And what is the difference between freezing rain and sleet? We were talking about, maybe some snow and sleet mixed in. Well, snow means that we have cold air all the way through the atmosphere, no worries. But what happens a lot of times is we have, in a situation like this, some warm air that kind of sneaks in the middle layers. And so we have cold air, it runs into this warm air, and it becomes a raindrop. But it's cold here enough for it to refreeze into a ball of ice, and that is sleet. Freezing rain is a raindrop, and it doesn't have time to refreeze until it hits the ground, or it hits the trees or the cars or the power lines, and then it freezes and makes a big mess. Let's talk a little bit about these numbers. A very light coating of freezing rain would be 1/10 of an inch. Bridges could be slick. There's some light ice on the trees. Once we hit 1/4 of an inch, that's where it starts to get troublesome. Roads become icy, tree limbs begin to break, and we get some scattered power outages. Once we hit 1/2 an inch, which is going to be most of us, we'll be seeing a major ice storm with widespread outages. So we're looking at that. That's really likely to tick up during the day on Sunday, and then it may be several days before some people get their power back.
Lighting up Italy, excitement is building as the Olympic flame makes its way through 60 stages of the relay, where crowds gather to cheer runners along their journey. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. Crews across our state are making sure they are prepared to respond during this weekend's ice storm. The NCDOT has more than 330 trucks and equipment ready to go. The roads have been prepped. 2.8 million gallons of brine has been put down on the roads statewide. Crews expect a lot of falling trees because of the ice expected. They'll be ready to push those out of the way so that emergency services can get by.
And a group of Buddhist monks are less than 30 miles from Raleigh. They're currently at Jordan Lake in Apex. They are speaking to a crowd of some hundreds of people that are there. And tomorrow, they're going to make their way to Raleigh, stopping in the afternoon at the Capitol building downtown. And the city of Raleigh is encouraging people to live stream this from home, since that's around the time that winter weather is expected to move in.
WRAL has the most experienced and largest severe weather team in North Carolina. Stay with WRAL for live team coverage of weather and road conditions now and throughout the weekend and into next week. You can count on WRAL to bring you updates on TV, online, on our social pages, and the WRAL news and weather apps. Be sure to turn on alerts to get important updates right to your phone, and find a way to make sure that your phone stays charged. The first black woman to make a U.S. Olympic hockey roster is headed to this year's Winter Games. 21-year-old Layla Edwards will make her Olympic debut next month, thanks in part to Travis and Jason Kelsey. The fellow Cleveland Heights natives gave Edwards' GoFundMe a big boost so that her family can travel to see her make history. Edwards and Team USA open the Olympics against Chechnya on Thursday, February 5th.
Well, we are not long from the opening ceremony of the Olympics, and American troops and their families cheered as the torch passed by in front of Camp Italy base in Italy. Now, the Olympic flame is doing a 63-day relay through all 110 Italian provinces. The torch's journey is highlighting cultural sites and host venues before reaching Milan's San Siro Stadium for the opening ceremony.
This is truly such an experience to be able to be out here and be with the crowd, to witness the Olympic torch passing by. Truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and we are so happy to be a part of it.
Today, the torch is traveling the 47th of 60 stages, and the opening ceremony will happen on February 6th in Milan, Italy. Yes, you can watch it all on NBC and Peacock. The 2026 Winter Olympics will run between February 6th and the 22nd.
We also have an important reminder about the 3 P's of winter weather. We're talking pets, pipes, and plants. Don't leave house pets outside for long periods in the cold. Consider pet jackets or sweaters, especially if your pup has short fur. Bring any potted plants indoors, into the garage even. Cover plants to prevent frost. And check insulation for pipes, especially those in attics, basements, and crawl space. Finally, disconnect and bring in that garden hose to prevent it from freezing. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
And don't forget, you can always get your breaking news updates, your weather reports as well, anytime with our WRAL News app. But make sure you have those notifications turned on as we help you go through this storm that we are expecting this weekend.
Stay safe, everybody, and have a great Friday. Get those emergency supplies now.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.